I think there's something very interesting. There's been an MEN poll on the potential results for the mayoral candidacy.
Yeah.
Mayoral race.
Yeah.
And I think those results must have been quite pleasing for you in terms of what they were. Would you like to share with our gentle listeners what those results were?
So the Manchester Evening News have not commissioned this poll. Someone else had commissioned it. They've commissioned it on a lot of the mayor elections across the country at the moment, but they reported this one on the Greater Manchester Mayor. So according to their poll, the first place, the winner is going to be Andy Burnham again on 63%, which is down 4% from the last election. I thought he'd lose more than 4%. But the interesting bit is second, third and fourth place. So second place at the moment is Reform UK at 12%. I'm on 9% and coming third.
Well done.
And the Tories are coming fourth on a lower 9% than me.
Yeah, just under 9%.
Yeah. So basically, I'm beating the Greens, the Lib Dems, and the Tories.
Fantastic.
If you'd have told me this a year ago, I'd have bit your hand off for that result.
Yeah, I bet you would.
I'd have bit your hand off because if I had to be completely honest, one of my big worries has always been, you're going to embarrass yourself, Nick. You're going to get 1%. You're going to lose your deposit. Everyone online is going to laugh at you because nobody wants you. You're a bit of an idiot. And we've all got those demons sat on our shoulders telling us we're nothing. And it's like, am I really going to do that badly? But a poll that says I've got 9% it's fantastic. It's not what I want it to be. I'd like it to be 64% like Andy Burnham's.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But if it turns out to be 9%, then I haven't embarrassed myself because I would have beat the Greens, the Lib Dems and the Tories. There's no way on earth you can argue that's embarrassing yourself when you've beaten three of the main parties in the country. So that'll be a big success.
I mean, if you do beat those three, well, I think whatever happens, if you do as well as the poll, we'll celebrate that. If you don't do as well as the poll, we'll celebrate the poll after the election as well. So either way, I think that. However, if you beat any of those parties, Tories, Greens, Lib Dems, was the SDP, was it?
No.
They don't exist anymore, do they?
Yeah. No, they still exist, the SDP, the small. They actually endorsed me, the SDP.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But don't forget, they are machines and they have apparatus around them. They have people, they have canvassers and things like that. So if you, on your lonesome effectively, have managed to do that, that will be a hell of an achievement, and that's really quite impressive. So let's hope that poll comes true. And
I'm hoping it'll be better because my thinking is we knew the Tories were gone, and that's not the fault of their candidate standing. No matter who stood for the Tories, they're going to be wiped out virtually across the country. Yeah. Whoever was standing for the Tories to run for mayor was going to get decimated anyway. So that was a guaranteed. The votes they're losing are going straight to Reform. So if you add up their two numbers, that's what the Tories were getting at the last two elections for mayor. So the Tory vote was just
21%. So they were getting 20% before.
Yeah. So 24%. 23% the first election, and they got 19% the second mayor election. So always about those numbers. So
I mean, for me, Nick, and for our gentle listeners as well, what I would say is, if I were you, I would vote for Nick Buckley. And the reason I would do that, regardless of your politics, policies or whatever, if you won, or if you came a close second, I could then say, I voted for Nick Buckley. And then you are somebody who is actually making a difference. You were in the right place at the right time. In the same way now, I say, I didn't have the jab or whatever. Now I'm being vindicated. If anybody votes for you now and you do really well, people can say, I voted for Nick Buckley. Exactly. Somebody who stands up for the people and cares about us. And we just need that shift in the way people think to understand that.
Yeah, people need to vote for the individual.
Yes.
People know who I am. I'm not a party.
Yeah.
Reform are only on 12%, not because of the candidate. No one can name the candidate.
No.
They're voting for the party called Reform because they're doing well in the polls and everybody hates the Tories and they've become the protest vote. But you don't know anything about the candidate. At least with me, every vote I get is for me personally.
Yes.
It's not for a badge, it's not for a colour, it's not for a rosette. It's for me.
Yeah.
And I'll take a lot away with that, because that's what I'd like. But people need to realise, what is the future of Greater Manchester if we just vote in another party? And let's say Reform do really well. Let's say Reform win. We need to understand that the mayor, as a Reform mayor, you're not his boss. Richard Tice is his boss, sat in London. That's his boss. And anybody standing for a party knows they have to do as they're told.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do as you're told, you don't stand for us again. And everything you are, everything you've achieved is for the party. And the party holds you to ransom and can blackmail you. He can be told what his new policies are by London, by Richard Tice.
Yeah.
I know you didn't want to do this, but this is our new policy and you will do as you're told.
Yeah. And if Richard Tice has a brainstorm and decides tomorrow, actually, yes, I want to bring more immigrants into the UK. Yes, I want to devolve more power to Scotland and Wales. Or yes, I want to allow trans women to be in every changing room in the country. If he decides that, that becomes party policy.
Party policy.
And you've got nothing you can do. So the individual you voted for in Manchester will have no influence on that. And I think there's a really important point here, isn't it? Is this now the age where we should be voting for the individual? Is Trump an example of that? Because people vote for Trump the individual, don't they? They don't vote for the Republicans. Because remember, I think at the beginning, Trump, in the first election, Trump was not the Republican candidate initially.
No,
there was
they didn't
another
want
one that they didn't want him. But the people decided, but they wanted him because he was an individual and because they knew his policies and his views were what would be implemented. And I think that's the point about you, Nick, isn't it? When people vote for you, they're voting for Nick Buckley, the individual. They're voting for your policies, your beliefs, your drives, the things you care about, your manifesto. They're not voting for the Tories. They're not voting for Labour. I mean, if it wasn't Andy Burnham, would anybody know who the Labour candidate was? There's, the fact he's relatively well known. Yeah. But for example, the mayor of Birmingham, I know you know who he is. I would imagine most of the people who are watching this don't know who the mayor of Birmingham is. I think it's Andy Street.
Yeah, I knew it if you said his name.
Yes, so you don't even know the mayor of Birmingham is Andy Street because he represents. I think he's a Tory.
He's a Tory.
Yeah, but maybe it is the time now. And I wonder if that 9% that you've been showing there is because people are saying this guy's an individual. He's an independent. Yeah. He's not representing those crappy parties, as Galloway calls them. Two arses of the same, two cheeks on the same arse. He's not representing Labour. He's not representing the Tories. No. So I'm going to vote for him. No. I wonder if that's happening now.
I think that's definitely happening. I've got people who, from all parties, telling me they're voting for me.
Yeah.
Mainly because they say, I like what you say.
Yeah.
Because I'm honest. Yeah. The amount of people I've told basically not to vote for me is loads.
Yeah.
Because I get messaged all the time. Nick, what's your stance on Free Palestine? What's your stance on free parking at hospitals? And I just tell them the truth. And I know you're not voting for me now. But I'm not going to twist my answers to make you think I'm on your side. Yeah. And then I get elected and I just let you down. You then go, he conned me. He just, no, I'd rather you don't vote for me than think I'm saying something that I don't mean. So I tell people very honestly, either ex-veteran speak to me the other day, and his main aim is to get all veterans and anyone serving for the army free bus passes across Greater Manchester. And I said, no, I'm not giving away free stuff to people. No, we've got problems to fix in this country, in this region, and giving more free stuff away to people, no matter how much we think they deserve it, then the answer is no. And he thanked me for my honesty and said he won't be voting for me. Which is
it would have been better if he thanked you for your honesty and said, despite that, I'm going to vote for you.
Yeah, but he didn't, which is great. Yeah. Because, but I just want to be honest with people.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely cutting through with people. And I've had the opposite where people have said, right, yeah, thanks for your honesty. And do you know what, Nick, I'm still going to vote for you, even though you're not going to do the one thing that's really important to me because I like everything else you're talking about. Yeah. So it does work that way as well. And I think you're right. I think there's people voting for me because they're sick of everyone else. There's people voting for me who would always vote for an independent anyway because they're sick of all party politics. Yeah. There's people voting for me because they've heard me, seen me online, and they're going, I like the sound of him.
Yeah.
And I also, this is what I'm really relying on now. So I might do better than 9%. Second place is reachable for me. And I will get to second place and I will do better than we think I can do for one cohort of people. And that's the people who never vote. So the Brexit people who only have ever turned up once in 20, 30 years to vote.
Are they going to turn up for this election though?
I've no, only if they've seen me online. So that's why I've spent so much time on Facebook and not so much Twitter, but on Instagram, on TikTok. I've spent time on the places where normal, average people who don't care about politics spend some time. And if they can see me and hear me, and if those are the people who go, I'm not voting in 15 years, but I'm going out especially for him, that's how that poll can be completely wrong.
I think you make a really important point here. I think the people who don't normally vote, if they went out and voted, they would vote for you.
I think so.
I think they would. And it's almost, I'm just wondering whether your slogan should have been, you don't have to vote for me, but just go and vote. Because I think if you just get people to, and we've discussed this before, you've said one of the biggest confidence tricks out there is the fact that the main parties have persuaded people their votes don't matter.
Yeah.
And that's how they've retained power.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Most people who don't vote, if they went out and voted, they wouldn't vote Labour, they wouldn't vote Tory, they'd vote Independent. Because it's like we're sick of these parties. But the problem is mobilising those people, isn't it?
It's reaching them.
Yes.
It's having them know you exist.
Yeah.
And I launched my campaign 15 months ago and I've spent it nearly all online. And people kept saying, no, you need to go to the towns and speak to people on markets. Well, I'm lucky if I speak to 6 people on the market. Most people are too busy.
Yeah.
Who's a stranger approaching me?
Yeah.
He says to the politician, you switch off straight away.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying what I've done will be worthwhile. I don't know, but that was my judgment 15 months ago.
Yeah.
So I've spent it online because I'm trying to reach the people no one else reaches.
Yeah.
And if I can reach them and they can see something in me and they go, he's like my uncle, he's like the kid down my street, he's like I was when I was a kid, or I wish I could speak like him. He's saying everything I want to say. He's saying it better than me because he's he's got, I've got better skills than most people talking because I've been doing it for decades. But I've got so many people saying, everything you say is what I'm thinking. I just can't say it, or I'm too scared to say it. I haven't got the words to say, but everything you're saying is what I'm thinking. So we'll find out if I've reached those people. At the moment, I don't know because nobody knows where they are. If you like that video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell and comment. And if you like what I'm saying about running for Mayor of Greater Manchester, then stick around. Tell your family, tell your friends. It's the only way I'm going to have a chance of winning is a grassroots movement. So be part of that movement and hit that bell. Thanks.